Hello and welcome back to Voxterra, fellow Voxterrans. Today I want to share with you an important article put out by a group called DeSmog. DeSmog's tagline is, "Clearing the PR pollution that clouds climate science." So in this article called "COVID-19 Liberate Groups Are the Same Ones Pushing Climate Denial" by Steve Horn, Monday, April 20th, 2020. In this article, they're showing the connections between these COVID-19 protest groups, many of which are showing up with armed people. They are showing the connections between these groups and moneyed interests. Moneyed interests that I call the reckless elements of the business community, especially often coming from interests that are in fossil fuel petrochemicals. Because if you think about it, what they want is to go back, those interests want to go back to business as usual, so they keep making money the way they're making it. So look, reading from the article, the response of many American public officials and the public at large to the COVID-19 pandemic has, in many ways, paralleled response to the climate crisis. First came a denial of its depth and gravity. Then, responding is too economically costly. Well-funded machinery that sowed doubt about climate change is now sowing seeds of doubt over the economic and public health response to COVID-19. Again, I'm reading from this DeSmog article. Groups nationwide are clamoring for an early end to the stay-at-home orders. Many of those same groups are what Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat Rhode Island, has coined the web of denial. Now, some of you might be saying, if you are, a Trumper, you might be saying, "Oh, well, Democrat, I got it." Look, here's all I'm saying is if you look at groups like Oil Change, I believe that's the name of the group, Republicans have been receiving way more fossil fuel money than Democrats right now. Times have changed. This is a sad reality. Like the eruption of the Tea Party protests in 2009. Now, they bring up the Tea Party protests because it came out that they were funded by the Koch family or the Koch brothers. When they got the Tea Party to take it as their own cause, to stand up for freedom and stop what was called cap and trade, a free market-based climate change solution, but they got it in people's heads that way of cutting back on carbon pollution, which is bad for us to breathe in anyway, was taking freedom away. Now look, you got to remember what the tobacco industry did. In their last days of denial, they started coming out with, it's about freedom, smokers' rights, they're trying to take your rights away. Remember, Mark Twain said, "Patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel." DeSmog links it back to a network called State Policy Network. It says, in the case of what Donald Trump has called the Liberate Movement, one major thread tying the groups together is the State Policy Network, or SPN. State Policy Network, according to DeSmog, has received money from the likes of the Koch family, notorious climate change denying funders who also get a lot of their money from petrochemical fossil fuels, the DeVos family, and the Mercer Family Foundation. The Mercer family also was involved in the funding of Breitbart. These are wealthy individuals. In the case of the Kochs, money's coming from petrochemical fossil fuels. Mercer, I'm not as sure, I think it actually was with computers. DeSmog traced SPN groups to 3 states. The Michigan Freedom Fund, which historically has received funding from Dick and Betsy DeVos Family Foundation. Betsy DeVos is the current U.S. Secretary of Education under Trump. Those conservative groups currently lobbying President Trump to ease COVID-19 social distancing restrictions, first reported by the Washington Post, but again, I'm getting this from DeSmog, include FreedomWorks, Tea Party Patriots, the American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC, and Trump 2016 campaign economic advisor Stephen Moore. SPN was a creation of ALEC, a group which for decades has received donations from fossil fuel industry and Koch family. So my point here is that you need to understand that there's these mix of fact and fiction put out there to get people to believe they are defending freedom. Some of the quotes I've heard coming out of people at some of those protests are mentioning things like computer chips or being implanted in us. Now, maybe that's in the fiction realm, but it speaks to the idea of privacy and our loss of privacy. So see, they're grabbing onto the very things that many of us are standing up to, but then using it against the people standing up to it. Because you don't hear those groups actually concerned about internet privacy and tracking. They're not actually promoting legislation that would actually keep us safer and more private. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please share, please subscribe, please comment. And if you are caught up in industry denial, please keep your comments respectful. And until next time, peace be with you.